7:12 in the morning. You just want to make coffee, pack your lunch, and get out the door on time. But first, you have to move the dish rack, find a container lid, pull open a stuck drawer, and set a bill down in the corner of the counter. Before your day has even started, you are already dealing with too many little tasks. The problem is not that you are lazy. Your kitchen is creating too much friction. A kitchen that is easy to live with does not need to be bigger or newer. It just needs fewer things getting in your way. In this video, we are going to look at 15 things that often make a kitchen harder to use, along with small changes that can help you feel less mentally overloaded every day. By the end of this video, you will not just know what to get rid of. You will know how to recognize which items are truly supporting your life and which ones are only still there because no one has made a decision about them yet. If you want to build a home that is easier to maintain instead of forcing yourself to clean more, subscribe to The Quiet Home. Here, we are not chasing a perfect home. We are building systems that make everyday life feel lighter. The first things to reconsider are chipped mugs, bowls with small cracks, scratched plates, and anything you are still keeping just because it technically still works. You keep them because they are still usable, because they were gifts, or is because the chip does not seem big enough to justify getting rid of them. But the things you use every day should not just be things that are not broken yet. They should be things you are happy to reach for. The problem is not that one chipped mug can ruin your kitchen. The problem is when your everyday dishes include too many things you do not actually want to use anymore. The items you always have to sort through. The bowls you do not want to pull out when guests come over. The glasses you use only because you do not want to be wasteful. With a Japanese-inspired mindset, kitchen items are not kept just because they are not completely broken. They are kept because they still serve your current life well. You do not need to replace your entire set of dishes. You also do not need to turn this into a huge decluttering project. Tonight, just pull out 3 items that are chipped, cracked, or no longer feel good to use. Ask yourself one very simple question. If I only kept the things I truly wanted to use every day, would this stay? If the answer is no, let it leave your everyday kitchen space. Maybe you can reuse it for a different purpose that makes more sense. Maybe you throw it away. But do not let it continue taking the place of something that truly serves you. The second thing is usually not sitting out on the counter. It is hiding in the spice drawer, inside a cabinet, or behind bottles and jars that you have to pull out just to see what is there. It is the spices that have almost lost their smell, the sauces you bought for one recipe a long time ago, and the half-used ingredients you are not even sure you still use. We often keep them because throwing them away feels wasteful. Maybe I will need it next week. Maybe it is still good. Maybe I will make that recipe again. But a kitchen that is easy to use should not make you guess every time you open a cabinet. When your spice drawer is full of things you are not sure you can still use, every meal comes with a few extra questions. When did I open this bottle? Does this packet still smell fresh? Does this go with dinner tonight? Did I already buy another bottle of this? They are small decisions, nothing too serious, but they happen often enough that cooking, which already feels tiring after a long day, becomes harder to even begin. One principle inspired by seasonal living is this: only keep things that still belong in your upcoming meals, not the imaginary meals you might make on an ideal day. The real meals in your real life this week. Pick one small drawer, just one. Take out each spice jar, smell it, look at the color, think about the last time you used it. If you cannot remember using it in the past year, do not force yourself to become the person who will use it next year. You can make a small box labeled "Use this month" for things that are still fine but do not get used very often. For the things that no longer fit your life, let them go. The goal is not to have fewer spices. The goal is that every time you open the cabinet, you know what you have and you know you will use it. The third thing is the group of items that makes your kitchen drawer look full again after only a few weeks. Tools that all do the same job. 3 ladles, 5 wooden spoons, 2 garlic presses, 1 grater, then another grater, and then a grater you do not even know how to use but still keep because it looks new. You did not buy them all at once. They came in little by little. One was a gift. One came with a cookware set. One was useful for a specific recipe. One was something you bought because you thought it would make cooking easier. Then one day, the drawer no longer closes smoothly. And every time you need a spatula, you have to dig through 7 other tools first. A practical idea from Japanese-inspired home systems is that every tool should have a clear role, and that role should happen often enough to deserve the space it takes up. You do not need to get rid of every specialty tool, but you do need to tell the difference between tools that truly support your lifestyle and tools that only support the ideal version of you. Keep the tools that support your real daily rhythm. For every group of duplicate tools, keep the one you reach for first, and if needed, one backup. Put the rest outside the kitchen for 30 days. If you do not use them, they do not need to take up your everyday drawer space. The fourth thing may be sitting in a drawer, stuffed inside a big bag, or hanging from a cabinet handle. It is plastic bags, paper bags, grocery bags, bags inside bags, with even more bags inside those bags. We keep them because they are useful, and they are useful. You can use them for trash, carrying things, or dealing with unexpected situations. But even useful things need limits. What makes the bag drawer frustrating is not that you have bags. It is that there is no limit that says, this is enough. So more bags keep coming in, but they almost never leave at the same rate. Choose one fixed container. It can be a small box, a drawer, a cloth bag, or a narrow basket. That will be the maximum capacity for your bags. When that space is full, you do not have to think about whether you should keep more. The answer is already there. Only keep the amount that fits neatly inside that space. This is a very small system, but it saves you from making the same decision every week. You do not have to stop using disposable bags completely by tomorrow. You just need to stop letting them grow beyond what your kitchen actually needs. And the fifth thing often comes with a very specific kind of discomfort. It is the appliances you bought with so much hope. A mini waffle maker, a sandwich press, a spiral vegetable cutter, a blender with too many attachments, a small air fryer you used a few times, or anything you bought for a habit that never really took hold. When you see them, you do not just see an appliance. You see an old promise you made to yourself. One day, I will cook healthier meals. One day, I will put more effort into breakfast. One day, I will use it when I have more time. And that is why they are harder to let go of than a spoon or a spice jar. An appliance you do not use does not mean you failed. Your life, your schedule, and your energy change. Your kitchen should serve the person you are now, not the person you once hoped to become. Try the 90-day test. If you have not used an appliance in the last 90 days, take it out of the easy-to-reach area. Put it in storage somewhere that does not get in the way of everyday cooking. If you do not think about it, look for it, or need it in the next 3 months, you do not need to keep wiping around it every week. Not every good intention needs to become a permanent object in your kitchen. These first 5 things have one thing in common. They have stayed longer than their real role in your life. But the things you can see are often not what makes a kitchen feel the most exhausting. The bigger bottlenecks are usually hiding in drawers, unfinished loops, and the places you have learned to avoid every day. The 6th thing is not one specific object. It is the drawer you open when you do not know where something should go. Old batteries, charging cords you are not sure still work, pens that are out of ink, hair ties, coupons, keys you do not remember using for any door, 1 pair of scissors, two's loose pills, small things that do not seem to belong in any room, so they eventually end up in the kitchen. It is the junk drawer. And honestly, having a drawer like that does not mean you are disorganized. Every household has small things that need a temporary place. The problem begins when temporary becomes forever. When every item without a home gets thrown into the same place, that drawer slowly becomes a collection of delayed decisions. You do not have to deal with them right now, so you close the drawer. But the next time you need a battery, a piece of tape, or a pen, you have to dig through everything all over again. And then the kitchen becomes storage for the entire house. Instead of trying to eliminate the drawer completely, turn it into a limited utility drawer. Keep only the things you truly need near the kitchen: scissors, tape, a few spare batteries, pens, labels, and maybe a small notebook for household tasks. Everything else needs to go in one of two directions: back to the room where it belongs, or out of the house. Do not try to sort the entire drawer in one night. Take out the first 5 items. If you know where they belong, put them back in the right place. If you do not know, ask yourself, have I used this in the past 3 months? That question is not perfect, but it is enough to help you begin. A lighter kitchen is not a kitchen with no small items. It is a kitchen that does not have to become a shelter for things that have never been decided. The 7th thing is one of the most common reasons kitchen counters always look like they are never truly finished. It is the dish rack that stays next to the sink all the time. Maybe it is always damp. Maybe it always has a few plates, a pan, several cups, and a plastic container that you are not sure where to put. Even after you wash the dishes, the counter does not feel clear. And even when the kitchen is clean, it still feels like some task has been left unfinished. The dish rack is not the problem. It is a practical solution for many kitchens. The problem is when it becomes a permanent home for clean dishes. At that point, you no longer have a complete dishwashing routine. You have a routine that stops halfway through. You wash the dishes. You put them on the rack. Then you leave them there. One simple principle in kitchens that are easy to maintain is to close the loop as close to the moment of use as possible. Wash the dishes, then let them dry. Once they are dry, put them back where they belong. And whenever possible, do not let clean dishes live on the counter for too long. You do not need to replace your dish rack. You do not need to buy a drying cabinet. You do not need to renovate your kitchen. Just try one small change for a week. After dinner, do not put away every dish. Put away the first 5 dry items you see. Just 5 items. Maybe it is 5 cups. Maybe it is 5 plates. The goal is not to completely empty the dish rack. The goal is to teach your kitchen that the counter is for working, not for clean dishes waiting to be dealt with. A lot of people think their home is messy because they are not disciplined enough to clean. But sometimes, a home feels messy simply because too many loops have been left unfinished in the middle. And that leads to the 8th thing: food containers that can never find their lids. There are containers from takeout meals, reused ice cream containers, old plastic containers, lids that are too big, too small, slightly warped around the edge, or impossible to match with any container. You open the cabinet to find a container for leftovers. 5 minutes later, you are still trying one lid after another. Maybe you finally use plastic wrap instead. Maybe you grab a new container. Maybe you leave the food in the pot and promise yourself you will deal with it later. It is not a huge problem, but it is a repeated point of friction. In a kitchen inspired by simplicity, you do not need everything to match just to look beautiful. You only need a container system that is easy enough that it does not make you think when you are tired. Start with the easiest step. Take out every lid, match each one with its container, and separate the ones that no longer fit. Do not buy a new container set right away. First, look at how many containers you actually need. Maybe you only use 5 or 6, rotating them every week. Maybe you are keeping 20 just because they have built up over time. Then choose a simple storage method. Nest the containers by size and store the lids upright in a narrow bin or small basket. It does not need to be perfect. You just need to be able to grab one container and one lid in a few seconds. A good food container cabinet is not one that looks like a photo online. It is one that helps you put leftovers away as soon as you finish eating instead of leaving them on the stove until the next morning. The ninth thing seems much more harmless. It is the cookbooks you bought because you were excited about them at one point. Maybe you bought one about healthy breakfasts, one about Italian food, one about meal prep for the week, one that is so beautiful you do not want to give it away, even though you have not opened it in a long time. These books do not just take up part of a shelf. Sometimes they hold on to an image of the person you thought you would become, a person who always cooks from scratch, a person who bakes on weekends, a person who plans meals for the whole week every Sunday, a person who has the time and energy to try new recipes. I keep noticing the same thing in kitchens that are easy to maintain. They do not try to inspire you every day. They make familiar meals easier to start. A few recipes you actually cook often are more valuable than a shelf full of books that make you feel guilty. Choose the books you truly use or genuinely love. Not just because the cover is pretty, but because they have a place in your current rhythm of life. For the rest, you can take pictures of a few recipes you want to keep, donate them, sell them, or move them out of the kitchen so they stop taking up space in the room where you need to prepare meals. Your kitchen does not need to hold every possible version of you. It just needs to help the version of you who is living here tonight make dinner more easily. The 10th thing is in those drawers you do not pay attention to until they no longer close. Plastic wrap, resealable bags, sandwich bags, extra paper towels, disposable food containers, aluminum foil, then another roll of foil because you do not remember how much is left in the old one. These things are very convenient, and they do not need to disappear completely from your kitchen. But disposable supplies often have one habit. They are very easy to buy again before you finish what you already have. You may not realize how much you own until you open the drawer and find 3 open boxes of resealable bags, 2 rolls of plastic wrap, several bag sizes, and items you have not used yet but keep buying anyway. Do not buy more solutions before you have clearly used what you already have. Only open 1 box of resealable bags or 1 roll of plastic wrap at a time. When it is almost empty, then take out the next one. This helps you know what you have instead of continuing to buy more because you cannot remember. And instead of trying to replace every disposable item with a new system all at once, choose one situation where you can try something different. For example, use a lidded container for lunch instead of a resealable bag. Use a plate to cover food in the refrigerator instead of wrapping everything in plastic wrap. Use a washable cloth for small water spills on the counter. Not because you have to be perfect or never use disposable items again, just so your kitchen has fewer extra supplies, fewer things to look for, and fewer unnecessary decisions to buy more. Out of the 15 things we talked about today, which one is taking up the most space in your kitchen? Leave just one word in the comments: containers, bags, appliances, spices, or drawers. Sometimes naming the problem is the first step toward making it feel smaller, and when your drawers start to feel clearer, you may notice something. The problem is not only hidden away. The final bottleneck is often right where you look every day: your kitchen counter. The 11th thing is the stuff living on your kitchen counter, even though it does not help you cook, wash dishes, or prepare meals any faster. A decorative vase, a cute container that is always empty, a small figurine, a candle tray, a fruit bowl that mostly holds papers or random items. A kitchen does not need to be completely empty, but the counter is your most valuable work zone, where you set down groceries, chop vegetables, make breakfast, and handle rushed moments. If it is already full before you begin, every task starts with clearing a path, and that is friction. One simple principle inspired by tidy Japanese kitchens is this: let the counter serve function first and decoration second. You do not need to get rid of everything. Try keeping one item that genuinely makes you happy to see. Maybe it is a small plant, a simple vase, a tray for cooking oil that you use every day. Then remove everything else from the counter for 7 days. Not to make a permanent decision, just to notice how your mornings change when you have a little more empty space to set things down, chop vegetables, or simply place both hands on the counter without having to avoid anything. You may realize that your kitchen does not need more decorations. It needs fewer obstacles. The 12th thing is the knives taking up more counter space than they need to. Maybe it is a wooden knife block. Maybe it is a knife rack against the wall. Maybe it is several loose knives sitting in a drawer with other utensils. Knives need to be easy to reach, but they also need to be safe, easy to put away, and not turn your food prep area into a more crowded space. The goal here is not to make you change your entire knife storage system right away. The goal is to ask one question. Does this setup make it easier for me to get a knife, use it, and put it away? For some households, a knife block is still the right choice. But if it takes up counter space while you only use 2 or 3 knives regularly, you may want to consider a knife organizer inside a drawer, blade guards, or another safe storage option that fits your kitchen. If there are young children in the home, do not choose a solution just because it looks good or feels convenient for adults. Safety must always come before neatness. One very small change is to keep only the knives you use regularly in an easy-to-reach area. Knives you rarely use, duplicate knives, or dull knives you always avoid can be moved somewhere else to deal with later. When your counter no longer has to hold everything, your kitchen will feel bigger without adding a single cabinet. The 13th thing is the paper towel roll, or more specifically, the way paper towels and their replacements spread across your entire work area. Paper towels are convenient, and in many situations, they are genuinely helpful. The problem is not whether you use paper towels. The problem is when you always have one large roll on the counter, several backup rolls in the cabinet, old dishcloths draped around the sink, and no clear rule for what should be used to clean what. Then something that is meant to keep the kitchen clean becomes part of the clutter. A gentler system can start with 2 things: one washable countercloth and one fixed place for it to dry after you use it. Paper towels can still be there for tasks that truly need a single-use option, but small water spills, crumbs, and little messes on the counter can be handled with one cloth that is always in the right place. This is not about trying to live a perfectly eco-friendly life. It is about reducing the things taking up space without actually making your routine easier. Try this for 1 week. Keep only one paper towel roll in use. Store all backup rolls together in one area. And choose one cleaning cloth with a dedicated place to hang. A good system does not make you think more. It helps you know exactly what to reach for. The 14th thing is the food in your refrigerator that you are not sure you should eat. Not the things that are obviously spoiled. It is the half-empty sauce container that has been open for a long time. The leftover rice you cannot remember when you made. The leftovers pushed to the back. The vegetables in the crisper drawer that you keep hoping to use this weekend. The things that are probably still okay often create a very quiet kind of exhaustion. You open the refrigerator to find something for dinner, but instead of seeing clear choices, you see questions. Is this still good? When did I open that? Should I keep this for one more day? Your refrigerator should help you make decisions faster. If you have to guess every time you open it, it is becoming a storage place for unfinished decisions. A kitchen inspired by freshness does not mean you have to grocery shop every day or throw food away too early. It means you try to keep what you have in a clear state. You can begin with one very small habit. When you open a sauce bottle or put away leftovers, add a small label with the date. Everything does not need to look beautiful. You just need to be able to see when it went into the refrigerator, then decide based on the storage directions on the label and food safety practices that work for your household. After that, choose one regular time each week, maybe the evening before grocery day, to do a quick 5-minute refrigerator check. Eat the food that needs to be used first. Take out anything that no longer works. Wipe one small shelf if needed. Do not turn it into a deep cleaning session. Just let your refrigerator become a place for food you trust instead of a place for decisions you do not want to make. And the 15th thing is not an object. It is the tray, bowl, basket, or corner of the kitchen counter that has quietly become the place where everything without a home comes to rest. Keys, bills, batteries, hair ties, pens, small toys from the kids, a screw, delivery slips, coins, something you meant to take upstairs but never did. At first, that bowl seems useful. It keeps the counter from looking too messy. It makes you feel like everything has been gathered together. It gives you a place to set things down when you are in a hurry. But when just for now has no ending point, it becomes a permanent parking spot for every unfinished decision. That is why this bowl is rarely actually dealt with. Every item in it seems too small to be worth getting up and taking care of right away. But when they all sit together, they create the feeling that there is always one unfinished corner in the kitchen. You do not necessarily have to get rid of that tray. You just need to change its role. Call it the 24-hour landing spot. Things can sit there when you have just walked in the door, when you are cooking, or when you cannot put them away right away. But within 24 hours, the tray needs to be cleared, not through a big decluttering session, just through one rule. Every time you leave the kitchen in the evening, take 3 things from the tray and return them to where they belong. It may take less than a minute, but it keeps that little bowl from becoming a permanent reminder that there are too many things in your home that have not been handled. That is the most important point in all 15 things we talked about today. Not everything needs to disappear, but everything needs a clear role, a clear home, or a clear ending point. And you do not need to deal with your entire kitchen this weekend. Start with 3 small steps. Step 1, choose an area no bigger than your arm can reach, like 1 drawer, 1 refrigerator shelf, or 1 section of the counter. Do not choose the whole kitchen. Step 2, take out exactly 5 items that are there only because no one has made a decision about them yet. Ask each item, do I use it? Does it have a permanent home? Does it make my kitchen easier to use? Step 3, create 1 small rule so the clutter does not come back. Maybe it is keeping bags in only 1 box. Maybe it is putting away 5 dishes every night. Maybe it is clearing the 24-hour landing spot before bed. A kitchen that makes you feel lighter when you walk in is not created by stronger willpower. It is created when you no longer have to make the same small decisions day after day. You do not need a perfect kitchen. You need a kitchen that supports your life. Subscribe to The Quiet Home and watch the next video about creating a quick end-of-day kitchen reset, so tomorrow morning does not begin with all the unfinished tasks from today.